So two of the things we all know we never talk about are faith and politics. And I'm fine with that in most settings, but in this podcast, in the next 24 hours, it's really important that I share things that maybe you don't get when you see my keynote. And maybe I'm able to go a little bit deeper in some of the things that motivate me and keep me grounded and help me with my messaging. And one of the things that I have a big problem with is some of the self-help stuff that's out there that says, you are the master of the universe, and if you just focus on something, it will manifest magically. And, some of that's hard for me to digest, to be totally frank with you, because first off, you have to do the work. Also, the universe isn't like your playground totally 100%. Sometimes things happen to you, and sometimes the world does things to you and your family and physically and emotionally. It just happens. I love the saying, sometimes it rains on good people, and sometimes it rains on bad people, and sometimes it just rains. Welcome to the next 24 hours, where I'm going to give you real information you can really use to transform your life and work one day at a time. I'll be your host, Curtis Zimmerman. So today I am going to talk about faith. I am going to talk about religion. And I want you to know that if that's something that turns you off or something you're not interested in, please do me a favor and just jump off now and go listen to something else. I'm totally fine with that. Here we go. I'm excited to share my journey from the beginning. So my mother was married 6 times, but believe it or not, we were raised Catholic as a young child, and every one of my brothers and sisters were baptized in the Catholic Church. But by the time I got to be the age of being baptized, that group had gone away from the church, so I was never baptized, and I always felt like I wanted to be. And years and years later, when I met my wife and I wanted to be married in the Catholic Church, she was Catholic, I did go ahead and go through everything to get baptized, and then I was actually ultimately married in the Catholic Church, which was a huge thing for me. So I share that. Now, my point of view on life and the way I see the world and how I stress or don't stress, I have to go back to my faith. And when did I kind of have this realization? I've had people ask me this before. Was there an incident in your life? Was there a certain thing that happened? And it takes me back to when I was probably, I don't know exactly the age, but I'm going to guess around 6 or 7. And my mother was traveling to Oregon with me and my brother. And on the way there, we stopped by a church, and the person she was with at that time was an alcoholic, and that person was in AA. And we were going to an AA meeting, and it was at this tiny little church. When you think about it, like a little white church in the middle of the woods, it literally was that. And if you've ever been to or have ever heard about an AA meeting, so this is for people that are dealing with alcoholism, and it's not just them, but also the family comes in and sits down. It's basically a bunch of people talking about their experiences, and they're smoking cigarettes like crazy, and that was, years and years and years and years ago. And I had to get out of that room, so I went and sat on the stairs at the church, and I was by myself, and I was sitting there. And on the stairs, there was this little card, and I didn't know what it was at the time, and I picked it up, and I found out afterwards what it is when there's a funeral, oftentimes there's a little picture card, and on the back side, it has a little, a little prayer, and it might have a little bit about the person or something like that. So that's literally what it was from. There was a funeral there, I don't know when, and the card was sitting there from that. I didn't know that information. But what I was doing, I was staring at the picture because I couldn't figure it out. And what it was a picture of Jesus Christ standing, and next to them was a door. And on the other side of the door, there was a person. And the person was looking at the door and looking at Jesus Christ. And I was looking at it, and I was just thinking, that's interesting. I don't get the point of the picture. And at that time, somebody else came out and sat down next to me. And I don't even know who it was. And they saw me looking at the picture, and they go, "Oh, that's a great picture." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't get it because there's only a doorknob on one side." of the door. And I've never seen a door with only one doorknob. That's what I was kind of looking at. And the person said, no, what this is it's Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ is on one side. And if you notice, there's not a doorknob where he is. There's no doorknob. But on the other side where the person is, there is a doorknob. And the picture is telling you that if you want to invite Jesus Christ into your heart, you can do that. But you have to open the door and invite him into your heart, and then he'll come into your heart and be part of your life. But he cannot force himself in. He can't open the door himself. You have to invite him in. So that's what the picture was about. And the person told me that story, and I was looking at it, and then the person went back inside. And I remember sitting there, and it was getting dark, and I was sitting by myself, and I looked at that picture. And I did just what the person said I needed to do. I just said, okay, I'm looking at my heart. I'm thinking about you, Jesus Christ. I'm asking you to come into my heart right now. And from that day on, for whatever reason, I've been really optimistic. I felt like I wasn't going to be harmed. I felt like I wasn't by myself, even when I was in not so great situations growing up after that time. And I always felt like I was walking with somebody and somebody was looking out for me. And that is my faith, and I do believe that. And now, as a Catholic, I've gone to Catholic churches, and what I say is I'm Catholic in my practice and Christian in my faith. I'm Catholic in my practice and Christian in my faith. And what I mean by that is I don't care whether you do the sign of the cross or whether you kneel or whether you don't kneel or whether you at church you listen to a rock band or at church you listen to an organ. It doesn't matter. The faith and the belief that it's not all about you and that there's a higher power in the universe is what I believe. And that's what's the most important to me. And I had to share that because oftentimes people say, life at performance level, Curtis Zimmerman, just so you know, I've had people say this after my program, you're saying that you can write the next show and you can write the chapter, and I don't believe that because I believe in my faith, and I believe that there's, something else bigger than me, and I need for you to know I believe that too. So the part of life at performance level that I don't share is I believe that when you're born on a stage, and it's completely lit. Every corner of that stage is completely lit by the Son of God. And I really believe that. And I believe that as you grow and as you learn things, what you do is you start turning off lights in different parts of that stage of things you don't want to look at, or things that are difficult for you, or things that you don't want other people to see in you. And you slowly dim those lights. And some people do that so much they actually end up living in darkness. And what I encourage you to do is to look at the darkness in your life and think about, what can I do differently in order to put light back on that part of my life? Because the people that have amazing lives are people that have light in their life, and they're willing to say, you know what, I'm not perfect. And if I'm able to ask for forgiveness, which I am able to ask for forgiveness, and then am granted forgiveness, if I keep that thing that I did that I'm not proud of, why, I'm sorry, you're a human being. That means you're a sinner. That means you're going to make mistakes. And I call it dropping the ball when I do my program. And you're going to drop the ball. As you do your walk, this thing that you're doing, this experience that you're having right now, you're going to make mistakes. And some of them are going to be brutal. And some of them are going to hurt people. And some of them are not going to make you look good. Are you going to hold that for the rest of your life and carry it around? In my belief, in my faith, if I ask for forgiveness and it's from my heart, it's granted. That means I don't have to keep carrying it around. That means I don't have to keep that section of my stage in the darkness. And if this higher thing that I believe in is willing to forgive me and I'm not willing to forgive me, then I'm actually going away from my faith. And I'm actually looking away from something that I believe in. Because if this higher entity that I believe in forgives me, I have to let it go. And if you're going to write the next chapter of your life, I want you to let go of your past. Not forget about it, not pretend that it didn't happen, not say I don't have scars. All that's true. But are you willing today to forgive yourself? and let that go in order to write the real path, in order to do what you're really put on the planet to do. And the only way you can do that is by forgiving yourself and realizing you're a sinner and so am I. You know, my mentor, one of my many mentors, Dr. Wilkheim, used to say, I know a couple things for sure. I can't walk on water, and neither can you. So if you have to step over a homeless person to tell somebody else they're in the wrong church, you miss the point of the gospel. That's what Dr. Wilkheim says. And what he's saying is, you know, we get in arguments and you go to this church and I go to this church and you have this faith and I have... Listen, why don't we all do everything we agree on as far as our behavior and our actions and try to live up to all the things we do agree on, and then we'll argue about the 3 or 4 things that we disagree on. Because the newsflash is we're not going to be able to do that. So I challenge you to stop judging other people and judging how they worship and judging where they go to. Let all that go. You walk your walk. And that's what Life at Performance Level is all about being able to say, you know what, I'm on a journey, I'm excited, and every morning I open my eyes. It's opening day on my life, and it's a gift from God. How am I going to use that day? Not talking about what I did 7 years ago or how I hurt somebody or how I made a mistake. Just let that go. And I think that this podcast can make a huge difference in people's lives if they listen to it for what it is. I'm not telling you to believe anything. I want you to just believe what it is you believe and then go live it. Okay? So what are you going to do in the next 24 hours? Well, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to just try this for the fun of it. Open up to that there's something bigger than you in the universe. And invite this something bigger than you into your life and ask this thing, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, to take the next 24 hours with you and to help guide you. And listen through being quiet to what this guide may take you. Where might they take you? What journey might you do a little bit differently because you get out of yourself and you get out of your own way and you let something and someone else show you a different way? So that's the first thing I want you to do. Can you sit quietly tomorrow in the next 24 hours? Can you sit quietly for 30 minutes? Remember, I was a mime for 25 years. And sitting quietly and not talking and not thinking about what you're going to say when somebody else is talking, but really just sitting quietly and trying to think of nothing other than, why am I here? What is the point of this experience I'm having right now? And what is the thing that I want to leave on the universe when I leave this planet? Just sit quietly and ask those questions over and over and over. And I think it'll take you to some amazing places in your own mind and hopefully in your own life over the next 24 hours and 24 years as far as that's concerned. So I had to share this, a little bit of my heart, and just encourage you to not be afraid to share your faith with other people as well. Don't push it off on them. But also, I don't want to ignore that I have 3 children I love very much, Noah, Mirabelle, and Oliver. And if I was to do these podcasts and not share really the walk and that I am another person on a journey just like them, trying to have a deep faith and trying to give back to humanity. And the reason I'm a speaker and the reason I'm a human being is more than the books and the travel, and none of that matters. What matters is, what are you going to leave on people's hearts, even if it's just one person, and how you're going to help them to have a deeper understanding of what this journey is all about. That's my challenge for you over the next 24 hours. God bless you all, and keep living the dream. Hey, thank you for listening to the next 24 hours. It would mean a lot to me if you found this content today valuable, that you share it with your friends. Leave me a review. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to learn more about what I do, it's really simple. Just go to CurtisZimmerman.com. Remember, in order to live the dream, you have to make the next 24 hours count. The clock is ticking.